let's move on here. We got 10 minutes at the end for a little Our Hometown News. So let's switch to that. I just want to open up our newsletters. So again, I say this every week, but if you're not getting the newsletter, just definitely send an email to ops and we'll make sure that we figure out why you're not getting it. It may be that you're not on the email list, or sometimes it does go to people's promotions folders and spam. So we just want to make sure that we can work with you to get it out of there. But the big news last week was we rolled out the privacy policy pop-up. That's some alliteration for you. And that was something that was an option that you could request for a while, but we went ahead and rolled it out because it's kind of something that, the GDPR policies and the laws coming out of all the privacy stuff. That's not because of newspapers, it's because of Facebook and Google, but unfortunately we have to deal with these compliance issues. But it's pretty easy. We've got it all worked out for you. So basically the way it works, when visiting the website for the first time, readers will see a pop-up along the bottom of their screen, noting that by continuing to use the site, they are agreeing to your privacy policy. So they don't actually even have to hit accept. We're giving them notice and stating that they're accepting the policy, but they can get rid of the button and hide it by hitting accept. So that's even better. And then once a user has agreed to the policy, the pop-up will remain hidden for 30 days or until the user empties their browser. So I guess every 30 days, we're going to keep asking people to accept this policy. And so if your policy changes, that's a good thing. They continually are confirming that they agree to it by using the site. And so here's an example on Mobridge Tribune. This is what it looks like at the bottom here. It's kind of like the metered paywall pop-up that we see on metered sites, but it's transparent. It's a little bit different. And I could exit it out to remove it. I could click on the privacy policy link, and that goes to the page with the privacy policy. Now, this is something that we set up on all of our sites. Vera, you helped us out a lot, and Terry, you as well, just like making sure that all the sites had something. And so if you haven't requested a specific privacy policy, then we gave you the default. So that's, just like a kind of it's just something that covers your bases. But if you ever want to modify it, it's totally up to you. You can make it say whatever you want. You can add some more details. But the privacy policy just talks about, what personal data we collect, why we collect it. It's just increasing the transparency. And again, this law is really geared at Google and the big tech companies that are taking tons of data without permission and then monetizing it. So we don't really have to say that much here. I mean, we're basically tracking, statistics. We're tracking traffic, from IP addresses. We have some cookies that are set on browsers depending on what the feature is for. One example of a cookie is for controlling the privacy policy update. So when you say accept, we're setting a cookie on your site that says they accepted, and we don't need to keep showing them that message. But that's just another update in the ongoing saga of GDPR privacy. Any questions on that, Terry or Vera?
Nothing for me.
Pretty straightforward. Okay. Another announcement we made last week is that we're extending the offer for full service customers through the month of October to continue testing the reverse publishing plugin on your site. Now, remember, reverse publishing is not really going to work with full service. You're never going to be using them both at the same time, because if we're extracting your articles, then you're not going to want to have, be writing the stories on the website in the first place. They're mutually exclusive, but you can still turn on the plugin and just do some basic testing and get a feel for it to see if you want to change your whole workflow and start with the website doing digital first publishing and then export for the print edition. And if you decide to go that way, then we would, just discontinue the full service PDF extraction. So we've got a couple customers that have taken us up on that, and we're just happy to continue offering these features just so that we can get feedback, and you guys can all take them for a test drive. Another thing I just want to mention, we had the NNA virtual conference last week. Finally, it happened. We've been talking about this for months, ever since we were invited to speak at it, and it couldn't have gone any better. It went off without a hitch. They had some really cool things going on, like they had this virtual trade show where I was able to join Zoom calls, and anyone could just pop into my virtual booth, share their screen and share their webcam with me, and I could talk face to face. Actually, Mary Huber dropped in and said hello, and that was pretty cool because she always used to see me at the live virtual or the live NNA conference when it was in person. She would always make a point to stop by. Just a really nice lady, and she actually told me, we talked a little bit about her project well, it's not really a project, it's just an ongoing section of the site where she talks about what was happening in the community 10 years ago, 25 years ago, 50 years ago. And I added that to our newsletter topics. I thought that was just such a great idea, that all newspapers should be, kind of reviving the local history in that way. And they can do it better than anyone else. They've got the archives. So, you can either look at the archives on your website or go back into your paper archives that you might have at your office. I just think that's a great idea. But anyway, just one of the many cool things that comes out of the trade shows and the conventions. And we had our 5 sessions, 3 of them with some publishers that we work with. Cecile Werman gave a presentation on her paywall. Meg Norris gave a presentation on reverse publishing, and then we had Tom Lapis talk to us about his donation program. So just all around great convention. Really looking forward to continuing to work with NNA. They mentioned that they might be opening it up to more of a year-long virtual conference, kind of like what we're doing, where they have like maybe monthly webinars and have guests on there. And I think that's a great idea. I think this trade show went very well, and it was a great way to introduce their audience to the virtual format. And actually, one of the organizers specifically told me it was kind of, the goal of it was to ease them into this idea of doing year-long conferences, because really what this was pretty much the same schedule that we would have in person, just put online. And so we had a lot of concurrent sessions, like 4 people doing presentations at a time. And, I would say that normally is required when you're doing it in person, because you only have 2 days at the hotel. You don't want to keep people too long, but you want to have a lot of variety of sessions. So my thinking is, why not just spread out those 20 sessions over the course of the year? And I think that's the direction that they're going with it. So all around, really great time, and hoping to partner up with some other associations to do more of those. Okay, let's move on to the next newsletter. This was actually sent out last Tuesday, and this is just a brand new feature that came at a customer request, which is to sell physical merchandise on your website. The Wave was actually the paper that came to us and asked if this was possible, and we were able to very quickly turn this around, because the recommendation is to use a third party called Shopify. It's a great system. It allows you to have like a true shopping cart functionality on your site, which hasn't been possible with, like, for example, using forms, Gravity forms on the site. You can sell things on the site. Obviously, we sell digital subscriptions, but we don't really have a shopping cart where you can go in and pick 3 or 4 things and buy them all at once. It's usually like you can buy one thing at a time. So Shopify is the way to go with this, and we can just plug in your account. You just set it up there. You upload your products with your pictures and pricing, and you can manage it all through Shopify. But then it's just displayed on your website, and they can, easily make the purchase there. Okay, and we're just about done here. Just the last thing I want to mention is the last week's Welcome to the Neighborhood announcement for the Voice News of Southeast Nebraska. They've been a customer for a couple weeks now, so this isn't a brand new launch, but we wanted to give them a shout out. Really happy to be working with a paper in Nebraska. I think it's maybe one of the first that we have in Nebraska, or maybe it's the second. But the publishers there, Cassandra and Darren Ivey, are really nice people. They have a whole group of papers, and we hope to do the websites for their other papers. But I think at this time, they really just need to replace their old site. They're having a lot of issues with it. And so we've got a whole new digital subscription platform in place for them, so they can sell subscriptions to the website through their paywall. And they're kind of reinventing their whole digital advertising packaging right now. So we're going to continue working with them on that. And so welcome to the neighborhood. And I think that was pretty much all that I wanted to talk about today. So again, we're going to make this announcement about Google Docs tomorrow. If you think this could be useful for your publication, just shoot us an email at ops. There's also a form that's going to be on this blog post, so you could fill it out and submit that way. But again, free setup, free month trial. It's normally $60 a month for this feature. So I would definitely recommend people take advantage of this free trial and just see if it could work for anyone on your staff or maybe your entire staff. It could be a good way to streamline the workflow if you're already using Google Docs or if you want to be using it. Okay, I think that's all we got for today. I've got a couple other announcements, but I'll probably hold off on those till next week. So I think that's it for today. Great job, everyone. One more quick question from Vera that I missed earlier. Would that unsync Google Docs when you modify using the block editor? Yeah, so it's the same thing as before, Vera. Like if we make a change anywhere on the website, whether it's on the block editor or the classic editor, then they're still going to be technically sunk up where you could still just send changes from Google Docs, but the problem is they will be out of sync, and it's an issue of version control. So you have one version on Docs, a different version on the website. The Docs version is going to overwrite it if you send it again. Now, if you don't send anything again from Google Docs, then that's okay, but you got to be done with it at that point. So I think in theory, you could send like a draft in from Google Docs and then go into the block editor and mess around with the layout. But at that point, you got to stick with the block editor or the classic editor because now you have two versions you're working with. So great question. Thank you for that. All right, guys, I think we're good for today. I got to wrap it up and jump on another call. So we'll talk to you all next week. And thank you for joining us for Office Hours. Talk to you later, Terry. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Vera.